Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. My name's Linda and I'm your certified trauma recovery coach. And welcome to all our conscious warriors this morning. It's great to be with you. It's been a beautiful weekend here because, of course, we're in summer. Let me know which part of the world you're from. And if you're here for the replay, do a hashtag replay. It's always great to have you here in class. Now, this morning, I want to make you aware that I'm going to be talking about sexual abuse and the soul and right down to the spirit. So just take a moment now to reflect on whether you want to listen to the information or it's probably not, something that you're ready to hear this morning. But what we are going to discuss is what happens for us internally when we experience sexual abuse as a child. And it was really important for me to understand this. So I had my memories come up when a year after I'd had my third baby. And that's actually quite a normal thing to happen, both from the neuroscience perspective and from the life perspective as well. Our brain doesn't let this information come up until we're ready and we're strong enough to cope with what's, everything that we've got to go through once we do remember. And so when I went to a counsellor, so all the memories had come back, but I said to her, I want to know what really happened to me. And at the time, I didn't have any other language to ask her except, as I'm sitting there in tears and I'm saying, do you understand what I'm saying? I know what happened to me externally. That's quite, yes, it is, Diana, it's live. It's quite apparent to me what happened externally, but I want to know what happened to me internally. Like, what is it that they did to me? And then she said to me, they murdered your soul. Now, she didn't go into any other, details at that time. So we're talking about, let me see. Oh, actually, it's probably close to 20 years ago now. That's like, wow. Okay, I hadn't thought of that. So she said they murdered your soul. And I was like, okay, that doesn't really make sense, but I understand what you're saying. But now that we have all the information, well, not all, we have considerable amounts of information about, from the science perspective, about what happens for us internally, I thought I'd share with you a lot of that information and give you the infographics as well. So let me just grab one of the first infographic for you. This is the first one. Let me see. Okay. Oops. I just have to see if I can get this to work properly. Oh, here we go. Okay. So when we look at this infographic and we take the information that they murdered our soul, it begins to make sense. So we have our body, brain, our sensory input coming into our physical body, into our brain. It's taking on information. Our soul, which is our mind, will, emotions, values, characteristics, our personality. And basically, because that person as an adult is in a position of power, and because it happens repeatedly as well, it stops us developing a sense of self. Actually, I wrote out a whole list of stuff for us, and I will put this infographic up, another one, after the broadcast. So what happens, the impact on the soul when an overpowering adult does this in our life, is we can become a people pleaser. So think of the fawn response and the information we did on that. Hypoarousal, when we end up in, it goes beyond freeze into fawn, where we're in complete shutdown mode. Okay. So the brain develops an unconscious fear response. So instead of, as an adult, when a problem comes our way, having an automatic unconscious response, unconscious response of this is manageable and getting about managing it, we develop an unconscious fear response of, I don't know how to manage this. Okay? So we have to learn to turn that around. We can not have a sense of self developed in our brain because it impacts all the way down to our spirit. Okay? So we need to know who I am, why I'm here. We can have we feel like there's a hole inside of us that needs to be filled. It can cause different types of attachment styles. From it, we can develop dissociation, feelings of guilt and shame, anger, hatred. We can develop long-term health problems, depression, anxiety, body image issues, substance abuse, promiscuity. And promiscuity is one of the known ones too, that when we go into teenagehood, we can become promiscuous, and it does, in my case, it wouldn't have made sense. And spiritually, this is the big thing. Spiritually, I've looked for answers for a very long time as to what happened to me spiritually. And eventually I was just sitting there meditating one day, and the answer came to me that it's like having an infection in our spirit. And when I thought about it, and thought about it from an adult perspective of when two people are intimate and it's healthy, then it's a beautiful experience where you build each other up. However, when it's an adult who has power and it's a child, then there's nothing equal about that energy exchange. And it's taken me a long time to build up that inner power and, basically get rid of the... What is wrong with me? My brain is not connecting this morning. To get rid of feeling like there's an infection in my spirit. Now, everybody goes on a spiritual journey in lots and lots of different ways, but I want to put this in a frame of reference from where I came from. So I only ever had a belief in God, the creator, and that was it, right back in the beginning. And so if you look at the work term Holy Spirit as pure breath, okay, it takes on a whole different... We can wrap our mind around it in a different way. So we can say, right, okay, there's a part of me that's untouched inside of me. And if I build up on that part of me, so we can build our sense of self, we can develop a sense of self-worth, we can develop our sense of self-esteem. And then also on the spiritual side of things, we can go on part of our spiritual journey and discover what that means for us. All right. Now, for me, I went on this incredible journey, and part of that journey was learning what spirituality meant for me. And it always happens over time. Now, one of the things that can happen is if the person is a close family member, then we don't want to know anything about God. And especially if there's religious abuse as well, it makes it really, really difficult for us to believe that there could be a God that could let this happen. And so we go through a whole process of self-discovery around that area. We choose whether we go on that or not, actually. But for me, I've always had the attitude of leave no stone unturned. I want to know because I want the healthiest options for me internally. And what that looks like for you could very well be very different, okay? This is just to give you imagery and a starting place and to say, these are your options. Now, in group, we have a lot of people who have a lot of different spiritual beliefs and processes, and everyone is welcome because I'm so aware of how progressive a spiritual journey is. So like healing our soul, we go on that recovery journey, and spiritually we can go on the recovery journey as well. And it's dynamic, it's progressive, it doesn't sit in one spot, and it's not about a bunch of rules. Okay, if anyone ever gives you a bunch of rules that include things like I'm in, you're out, I'm right, you're wrong, then just run. Okay, just trust me and run, because it's not healthy. Then they're trying to control things that are out of their control. All right, so we have to be very careful not to do that to or for anyone. Now, the other infographic I want to show you this morning is, sorry, I've just got a lot of work on my desk at the moment, is this. So our core sense of self, which we need to develop even from the brain perspective, gets lost in all the layers that happen around sexual abuse too. So we come to believe I am to blame, I am worthless, I am ashamed, and we can have I am powerless happening around this as well. And I am powerless can lead to a sense of a learned helplessness. So instead of having a belief that, okay, I don't know how to manage this situation, but I can learn, you often find that a lot of people people generally speaking who don't understand this will give up, okay, instead of saying, I can, as an adult, now take back my power and learn what is happening for me, all right? We want to take back what is internally already there within us. Now, for me, on a spiritual journey, this is what I do to build up that side of me. I always want to maintain my focus on God, okay? And yes, I've had to do a lot of work around resolving what that means for me, okay? Because in my life, the person set themselves up as God in my life. And it did create a very rebellious spirit. But the rebels, we think differently, and we get on and we make things happen as well. So it's not all bad. And for me now, I've shared with you this. Actually, I've bought a new one because my old one is I've written a lot in it. But this book is called Jesus Calling, and it's by Sarah Young. Now, what I do is she's a woman who went through chronic illness, like just about lost her life to it, and she wrote from her heart, very deep. Well, for what it really hits my heart what she writes through her journey. And then it opens my heart because it's somebody I can relate to, that how bad things were for her and the cry of her heart. And it really helps me open up and go, yeah, and if somebody else has been through this hard stuff, then I can too. And then she includes scriptures in it that build me up. So every morning I sit and reflect on this. What does it mean for me in my day-to-day life now? What's the one next step I need to take? And where has my past, or where is my past still impacting me in order that I can turn it around and grow and change from there? Now, I went book shopping the other day. Me and books. If you're anything like me. And then I came across this one, which I'll start next year. And it's called Turn Your Eyes on Jesus. But the reason I like this one is because instead of writing over every page, it actually has lines on it where they've written some, they have one scripture at the top, but they've written about it, what it means for them. And that inspires me to think about, well, what does that mean for me? Okay. How do I build that into my life and develop a better habit around that area? And I like doing these self-reflection things each morning because I find that it sets my mind off on the right track. So not only does it give me healing at a spiritual level and a spiritual strength, it gives me my soul and my sense of self to go forward each day, just one day at a time. So it's not like looking at this big picture that I can't keep focused on. It's just today. What bite am I taking out of today or for today? What am I going to put into it? And so it's really helped me also to understand when dissociation comes into play and I go off track for a few weeks and then I go, oh, that's right, I need to get back on track, back into building this whole wholeness into my life. So for you, the question would be, where is your spiritual journey at? What's the one next step you want to take to bring inspiration into your life? And so that each day you can wake up and be inspired, that you want to build into your day, that you want to look back at the end of the day and go, okay, I might have only felt like I'm 30% here today, but I want to give 100% of my 30%. Okay, does that make sense? And for me, it was like, I want to get rid of this infection in my spirit so that I can be fully me. Now, I was asked in group about being defensive, and so tomorrow morning I'm going to cover that and how it all fits into a bit of what we've learnt this morning as well. Okay, thanks for joining in, ladies. It's great to have you with me, and I will be back tomorrow and we will talk about how to recognise when we are defensive and what are all the components that go into it as well. And I will post the infographic down below for the impact of sexual abuse in our lives. Okay, see you in the morning. Bye for now.